Hey Rebecca, it's good for me to be on the other side of the microphone today, interviewing you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome. So today we're talking all things box modern design homes. We know you've just done one. Can you give us a little bit of an insight to what is a box modern home?
So I think box modern is really looking at something that's simple, it's clean, it's a versatile space. So we're looking at kind of massing forms, so in a box-in kind of way, and being able to use them as big, light, airy, open spaces that are, I guess, great for living in.
Yeah, and we all know everyone is talking about well-being in a home and how to live in a home and make it feel like a resort or feel like a happy place to be in. Can you give us insight from your design perspective of well-being and wellness within a box modern design?
Well, I mean, the first thing for me is to look at a home being unique for the people that live in it. And a home really should be a series of systems that work for that family and a reflection for them. But in a general sense, I think there's a lot of focus on energy rating and healthy, clean living and connection to the outside, and the way we live now is kind of in focus. So previously we might have lived in a way where it was communal and people lived at the front of their house and they connected to the street in that way. But now when we get home, we want that to feel a little bit more like a retreat, like a reprieve from the world. So we've moved and our houses have flipped, where we've now got the living in the back going into a private open space, and the people that are in our home are invited into our home. It's about wellness in kind of how we live. It's more about how we connect with our space and what it does for us. And I think the box modern style is really versatile because you can really set it up however it suits for you and your family.
Yeah.
And why I like the box modern style is that it's really efficient to build. And that was a key driver in this recent project we've done. We wanted to keep the build down to under $1 million, which we've managed to do with a builder. So we've gone out to a builder, so I'm not building it and able to rig my numbers like that.
Yeah.
And then we've put actually a pool house, and that was in consultation with the real estate agent and marketing of what do they want in this area. That pool house gives flexibility to intergenerational living, but it does add to the budget. So that took it up to 1.2, but super efficient for the size of the house that we've managed to create.
400, did you say?
400 square metres, yeah.
Wow, that is, just for people viewing, that is the new benchmark. If you can get a custom house to look like that at $1 million price point, that's very good going. Is that including a swimming pool?
Not including the swimming pool.
Okay, yeah.
I did that extra.
Yeah, yeah, but that's sort of the price point now. If you can get that, you're going really well. Most custom homes I see are starting at around the 1.4 mark, so you're doing pretty well.
And so the box modern's allowed us to do that, right? So curves take a lot more time, which curves take a lot more time to build. You've got a lot more kind of material wastage in that style of building. We've used this Hardie cladding, and we've used these battens to go on top of the joints, which gives us like a board and batten look, which I really love. I haven't seen it a lot, but I really love it. And we've used like a waffle slab instead of the traditional raft slab. We've been able to kind of look at each area in consultation with the architect. In this case, I'm project manager, so I'm running the development, and also the builder, to be able to pull in as many efficiencies as possible.
And this Hardie fine texture is a game changer for that look, because previously, my personal opinion, the board and batten looked a little bit cheap because it didn't have that masonry depth, but now it's got the texture on the board with the battens. It's an epic look and it suits the box modern so much. Another thing with box modern versus what a lot of the other ones you do in Melbourne, having that pitch roof that everyone is obsessed with at the moment, that's adding more volume and cubic meters to the building. So you've got more heating and cooling, that you're trying to control temperature with these huge high, ceilings, which do look good, but if you can't afford them and you've got a more simple setup, and a house that's cheaper to run, less aircon is always a benefit as well.
Yeah, so on the aircon front, so originally we started with, say, a flat roof. And we thought that'll be easier because we can put the trusses in. But what it actually did was push the heating and cooling up because we had nowhere to run it in the roof cavity. So we put it onto a slimline truss system, which was still super efficient to build, but gave us a cavity that we could run that heating and cooling ducting. And so by going through each aspect like that, you can work with the theme and the structure and kind of line up the walls, which is a great thing to do. Everyone loves every builder loves a line, a wall that's lined up, and every council wants it to be, pushed in and out.
Yeah, well, a box modern is a builder's dream. It's a square box on top of a square box with all the walls lining up. The hardest thing from an architectural perspective is how do you make that look good? And with a few little tricks with the cladding and the boards, you can definitely do that. I can see in your one.
So if we look at kind of the higher end architectural builds, often they use a single material. And so what I love about this product is you can take it all the way down to the ground. And so to have that one material that kind of seamlessly goes over the whole building, and this being a painted product, we've then got UPVC windows that have got a timber look to them, and they actually look fantastic. And I wouldn't have normally said that about UPVC windows, but they look fantastic, and they rate super high on the energy rating. And it's been able to give us that warmth and that depth by playing with those two things together on essentially what is, a series of boxes.
So a massive topic is flexibility, especially from you being, a developer, construction manager. You need to create houses that are flexible so the people that are going to buy them have a bigger demographic. So they might be looking at a standard house that doesn't have a pool or a pod, a granny flat or whatever it is out the back, which you're creating on this development. Tell us a little bit more about the sort of things you're doing when you're thinking about a product that you can sell and obviously a product that people are going to want to live in and want to buy.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we've done really well is understand how people live in their home, and that is really the way we come at everything. So this actually, Jessie Street Project is a joint venture development. So there are 5 women and me building it with a builder, which is a unique setup, but that gives us like 5 family homes and 5 family perspectives as we're going through the design and the plans. As a developer, we're creating a space. We don't know who's going to buy it, so we need it to function for people that have young kids. So that's like transitions to backyards, kitchens, overlooking spaces, appropriate storage, and workflows through the house. So people bringing in, like the big one, like it's women's point of view, but it's like, if I'm bringing home the shopping, how do I get into the house, put the shopping away? How do I manage people coming into my home from the front door? If I've got spaces that are messy, I want them to be zoned in a hidden place because I don't want people to see my mess. And how do I kind of function in a way that allows my family to grow from kind of young to old? So then we're going systems for living, how we flow through the house when we've got young kids. Then we'll look at what if we've got teenagers? Will it function well for a teenage family? One of the big changes we made in consultation with actually the real estate agent. We take it to the real estate agent throughout the process to look at buyers in the market, different perspectives and things they hear about how people live. They've got a unique role because they hear everyone's wants and needs, and so we tap into that to find out what people are saying. I want a master upstairs in this or downstairs, or I really want a pool, or this one didn't give me a look into the backyard so I couldn't see the kids, or it didn't have that external area for a teenager to be, or an art studio, or for my son to play his drums, that type of thing. And then we kind of build that into the house. So one of those things was we had the master suite at the front of the house, and we moved it to the back of the house where it was more private and had a better outlook into the trees, instead of being kind of that front more traditional perspective. And I'm interesting that people are craving more of that privacy, but we wouldn't know unless we ask and hear what they're saying as well. So I think to me that's important. It's important that transition and flow has key moments in it, Now, I think this is picked up really well in kind of the bulking of the house. So if you've got spaces that kind of are able to come out to like the boundary, and you've got like an entering corridor which has like a window that looks through to a view, and then you can come down into different spaces that kind of contract and then open up. That gives you a feeling as you transition in through the house, and it's actually that feeling that people resonate with rather than, oh, it's a big space, because we've all been in big spaces that don't feel like a home.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you're probably the best person to ask for anyone building a new home, because developers seem to know every trick in the book of saving money when doing the budgeting for a design like this. And from a construction management perspective, can you give us your opinion of what you've done with this box modern design to save on cost?
This is something that comes up a lot for people when they're doing their own home. They go to an architect or they go to a designer, and that designer says, do you want this or do you want this other option, which is, way more fancy? And you kind of pick one without considering cost. And so
you pick the fancy one every time.
You pick the fancy one, and yet you would have walked into a home and not seen that detail, but someone gives you an option, you want the more expensive one. What we did through this process is really kind of pare back the structure so it was as efficient as possible. And so I don't mean cut corners, because everyone goes, oh, you're a developer, therefore you're cutting corners. No. We're a developer, so we need to warranty basically this house for 10 years. So we do not ever want to go back to this house. We want it to be built properly and to be amazing. So we never have to come back to it. That's really important. So what we've done is we went through each part and each process through the stage of the build, and we made sure each was efficient. So slab, normally might do a raft slab, and we did a waffle slab, which is just easier to build. It's less messy, it's quicker, and with way less man hours, means
it's pretty
it
much
costs
all
less.
we do now. It's just so much easier.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, like we all have different ways we build, and that's more built up over how we learned how to build in a lot of ways, or you change system, or it's good for this site but not good for that site. Another one would be, like a big piece for us was not to mix materials, right? To keep the wastage down by using singular materials, so not mixing it everywhere. One of that would be like the external cladding. We knew we wanted a lightweight cladding. That means we can use a more efficient structure, which is holding that. It's quicker for the boys to put up because they can go through, they know how to use it. It's a known system. They don't have to work out details on site. We can make it look amazing by using like battens, but it's a really easy and known system. And so sometimes we want to get too fancy. We want to use a brickwork pattern that they've never done before, or we want to curve something on the way that it's not naturally made to be curved, and all this adds to labour and cost.
I can see on your design you've got no horizontal joins, so it looks like you've designed the scale of the building to suit the boards, so you've got zero waste.
Yeah, so we did pick these boards because they've got a 3/6 length, and so that meant we didn't need a vertical or a horizontal joint. We could just have those vertical joints, which we do have, and then we put the batten over the top of them. And so we've been really
it's just so efficient,
structured in how we've done that. And I think it gives you a great finish as well because it's really clean. The roof would be another one. So, the roof going to a truss roof. So we wanted that box look, but we've moved the roof to being a truss roof, so it's got that cavity in it. So it's got a pitch, but on the inside, not from the inside of the house.
So you've just continued your external wall up as a parapet and concealed whatever you had to do for the roof for the most efficient way possible.
We have on the facade of the building, and then the water actually falls away to the sides and is concealed, but our gutters are overhanging gutters, so they're not box gutters.
Wow.
And box gutters are a huge hidden cost to builds. Now everyone wants box gutters, but you don't need them. In a lot of cases, people don't notice them, and when the cost is getting really important for people, it's knowing that if I put a box gutter in this space, it's going to cost me an extra 15 grand to build. Like 15 grand. I'm like, yeah, because I can attach a half moon to like the side of this wall Simple, takes a few hours.
Yeah, it's
never going to fail,
$20 a metre,
right?
yeah.
$20 a metre. Or I can frame out for a box guard, and then I've got to get it ordered and delivered to site, and you've got all this man-hour and structure that goes underneath it. And look, they don't fail that much because they've had to be designed really a lot bigger now. But
they do still fail after a long period of time. That's the thing. You're still relying on joins and silicon of metal. It's like if you can just alleviate that from ever being above a structure, it's the best piece of advice I could give any client. If your budget can't afford it and you want peace of mind, like you spoke about durability before, you've used all the right products for durability, you've got a brand to protect, you've got a name, you don't want to go back. Things like just put the gutters externally, avoid any future issues, use the right products, and your product will look as good in 20 years as it did when you finished.
And most of the things that we find we have issues with over time are use errors, like the box gutter's got a tree growing out of it. Well, that's not a builder's problem.
Yeah.
But it is something we end up going back to because, the box gutter's leaked.
There's 15 soccer balls stuck in it.
Right, exactly. Those things they happen because people are living in the home, but we want to kind of avoid them. So I guess with efficiency in mind, we were able to achieve a lot more from the space and still deliver a high quality product at the end. And what I mean by that is, we have all the bells and whistles. We have, the mudroom. We have the walk-in butler's pantry. We have all the joinery. We've got the master suite, which looks amazing. But we've been able to do it because we're efficient in other areas.
Saved your money on the structure and spent it on what most women would walk in and go, I really want a butler's pantry. I really want these things. And I want to buy this. So that's a good tick. The
other thing I find people need to consider from the beginning is the size of their property and the usage of the space. So if you are saving, as you know, like if you're saving the square meterage because you don't need a corridor here or your rooms are the right size, they're not oversized, that it fits furniture properly. Something that I find people forget to check is that the furniture will fit in rooms properly. And so they might give an oversized room, but by reducing the square meterage of the build, you also take a lot off the cost. So,
well, that's one really good topic for saving money because people don't realise you pay per square metre for a builder anywhere from, 2,500, which is not really achievable anymore, but it goes right up to sort of 6,000-7,000 per square metre. And if you're spending that on hallways that achieve nothing, you're wasting money. If you can condense that and have no wasted circulation, you can have a whole nother bedroom or a whole nother butler's pantry, big walk-in robe, rooms that sell houses.
Yeah, exactly. And creating those wow moments in the key spaces. So when we look at a build, we go, okay, well, what are people resonating with? They're going to resonate with, maybe you have a different experience, but I'm interested to hear your perspective. I find they resonate with the kitchen. They always walk straight into the kitchen. They stand behind it. They put their hand on the kitchen island bench and they look out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep.
And so that view line and understanding their perspective from that angle is really important. You want to make sure that the dining connection and the lounge work really well and they're efficient. So that becomes a key area of focus. So a great kitchen that functions well, has all the joinery, connects to the living space. And then secondly, we want to look at the master suite. People do have a lot more clothes. They have a lot more things they want to put away. Look, let's make no mistake, this is a high-end build. It's just being done in an efficient manner. So we want to put then the focus on the things they're going to notice and not overcomplicate areas that don't need to be overcomplicated.
Okay, so I reckon we could talk all day about budget. I mean, I love talking about it. It is the biggest challenge for us to deliver the best possible house for our clients for the least budget. Everyone wants that. So I'd like to hear more about the things you've done on this project to save some more money.
It's knowledge, right? And it's understanding where to spend and what the costs add up to. So I was doing a consult the other night and they had Shishojiban in the external cladding. And we looked it up and it was $250 a square metre for just the material. And so I did a comparison. These people needed 100 square metres of this product. I did a comparison and I could get like the Axon grained product, which is pre-finished, so all they'd have to do is paint it, and it would be 20% of the cost. And so if you look at these changes across a build, you've got huge implications. So that's material side of it, but we've also got the labour side of it. When you're doing something that is fiddly and finicky or comes in single battens, it's hard to go together. It takes a lot of time and it's inefficient. The scaffold's up longer, people are on site longer, you've got more potential for issues and delays. Whereas you've got a simple system which they understand, they know how to put it together, and the speed is huge. It's why people are, some people build really quickly, like you, and other people are, it's laborious and they're kind of working out details and connections all the time because they're unknown.
Well, that's the thing. When you do a bill of quantities, this is how I do it. We do all of the costings of the job, the materials and the labour, and then we've got the time it takes to build the job. And each day has a number. There's a big number. It's potentially $2,000 a day on some big construction. Site managers, scaffold, site fans, everything on site. And if you can take a month off the construction, you just take this huge number back off the end number of the build. So yeah, using products like that is a really smart way to go about it.
It's across the entire build. I mean, this is why trusses and prefab wall systems are so much easier, because you can get them delivered to site and you're reducing man hours. You're not trying to reduce man hours to nothing. There's enough complicated systems on a build that, there's enough labour in it. You're not reducing that all the way out. But if you're being mindful for what you're doing, it's a lot easier. A decking system would be another one. So we put this beautiful decking system in one of our houses. It was it must have been like a 25 mil by 25 mil timber batten that ran across, and I reckon we would have gotten, and it was like ironbark or something, it was like we would have moved it a square metre for every 5 hours. It was so time consuming and so laborious. I mean, the material was a little bit more expensive, but the labour was huge. And I used my kids to do it, so let's say it was just a trial. But it looked great. But if you have that across lots of different aspects of your build, you're really adding cost, and it makes it unaffordable. Yeah.
So we know the most important part of budget is understanding everything from the start before you start anything. Before you even buy the block of land, before you even do the design, it's important for people to be educated. And I know you help a lot of people do that and get educated before they go into a massive investment like a build. James Hardie have done a modern forecast handbook, which I know you've done for the box modern design. Can you tell me what we would find in that?
Yeah, so I think that education piece is super important, and you're going to find things about efficiency and how to maximise that space. I guess when you're going into a build, you're going to want to educate yourself so you can lead the design, because a lot of people come at building or designing and building a home as if they're a passenger, and they're not. They need to be the driver because they're living in it, and every decision they make affects them for hopefully 20 or 30 years if it's their, forever dream home, which means not going for the most expensive product, but being educated of what's got durability like these products, or what's going to need maintenance after a period of time, or what the implication of each decision is going to be. And that's things like doing research on products. That handbook is super helpful because it goes over different styles and how you can achieve those different styles and different looks with cost effective or efficient materials. And also I noticed it's very easy to make things cohesive, where a lot of people can mix match designs. They'll have a little bit of coastal, a little bit of modern, where if you can have help from someone like yourself, just put a handbook together to just blend them all in and go, these are the things you should stay in these lines, and you'll end up with a nice product. There's a lot of homes which are a mismatch of a lot of different ideas coming together, and that doesn't feel very good or very balanced when you're inside it. So kind of sticking to a guide or a style guide is really helpful. But then you still need to feed that back to your professionals. So you still need your designer to be on board with that, and you still want your engineer to be briefed with that, and you still want your builder, if you're working with a builder, through the design process, which isn't the only way to do it, but it can be in some markets a really great way to do it, and it worked out really well for us on this. It meant that we had transparency with them, but we could achieve our outcome by kind of everyone sharing that understanding from the beginning and not being given decisions that we're like, oh, I've got to pick one on the spot, that one, right? We've got a theme or a style or an overarching vision that we've got to comply to.
Thanks so much, Rebeka. That was so insightful. I'm sure everyone watching is going to get a lot out of that.
Thank you. I think it's so nice to be able to share, and so nice to be around people that also appreciate builds and efficiency and are willing to also share that with their community. So that's really nice to be here. Thanks.
Thank you.